Speaking of people with a lack of experience in recent times, it's also worth touching upon the news that broke today, and it kind of broke last week that it was possible. It was officially confirmed by the Korean Football Association a few hours before we spoke, and that is the news that Jurgen Klinsmann has been appointed as Paulo Bento's successor as coach of the Korean national team. I think the responses and the quote tweets to our tweet when we put it out say it all. I think the most popular phrase that I saw were thoughts and prayers with everyone in Korea at this time. It's not a very popular appointment, it's safe to say, given his track record in America, given his track record in Germany. What do you make of this one, Martin? Jurgen Klinsmann as coach of Korea.
It's a bit out there, isn't it? And I was probably like a lot of people last week when you heard that they were in discussions with him. You thought this was one of these clickbaity kind of made up kind of tabloid stories that probably won't go anywhere. But it's surprisingly the thing that's come through. And I think the KFA really looking like the fools here in 12 months' time. They had a coach in Paulo Bento that wasn't very exciting, admittedly, but he was there to kind of progress this national team. And I think everybody kind of accepts once he left that he had progressed that team. They're a better team than they were 4 years ago. There probably wasn't that kind of next standard of football, of really kind of competing both maybe in Asia in a different kind of function. And obviously they've got the Asian Cup coming up in the next year, but also on the world stage. Once he's departed, I think everyone was expecting that next calibre of managers. And it's quite clear that Klinsmann wasn't the first choice for the KFA. Why is there a choice anyway? I think obviously technical committee chief Michael Muller obviously has a massive part to play in that in terms of the kind of German influence that would have it. But that only brings back bad memories for Korean fans in terms of Uli Stilicher and his kind of reign with Korea. If I'm trying to get some positives out of there, is that idea that the suggestion, obviously from the press release, is that he will be living in Korea, which was kind of the big surprise for everybody. If he kind of beds down, and we know how much he's kind of keen on footballing culture and kind of really embedding himself within the community, then maybe this is kind of being too short-sighted in it. And if he gets some good people around him like Chardiri, and really starts to actually hone on what he potentially got wrong in the USA and Germany in terms of the tactical analysis and the community building within the squad. Maybe we're kind of too quick to judge him, but generally all the feelings going into it is that the Asian Cup in 12 months' time could potentially be kind of the make or break for his medium-term kind of legacy.
Mm. You mentioned Chardiri there. I wonder how much influence he has within the KFA over decisions like this. And we know he's an emerging coach. He's working at FC Seoul. I saw a tweet from a good friend of the show, Steve Hahn, a couple of months ago now, talking about Michael Muller when he was appointed, KFA technical advisor, saying that, Chardiri recommended Michael to the KFA. He did his coaching badges in Germany and was really impressed by Michael and his courses and his football acumen and his way of thinking. And he recommended Michael to the KFA for this specific role. So we know he's got a link there. Chardiri is on the FIFA technical study group alongside Jurgen Klinsmann, who now has been appointed coach of the Korean national team. I wonder how influential a voice Chardiri is. If we know his voice stood for something when he recommended Michael Muller. There's the clear German connection between Muller and Klinsmann. There's a connection between Chardiri and Klinsmann as well. They worked together at the World Cup recently alongside each other. I just wonder whether Chardiri is someone who has an influential voice with the powers that be at the Korean Football Association, whether he's seen something in Klinsmann from all the time that they've spent together that he thinks he would be a good fit for Korea. But I share all the same reservations because you look at how it ended with America. He had them last in World Cup qualifying when he got sacked in a World Cup qualifying system that is designed to guarantee that America get through every single time. He struggled against the lesser ranked teams, the Caribbean nations. We know that the middle tier of Asian nations are much stronger than that. If he's going to struggle against the likes of those nations, how is he going to be when he comes up against the like of Syria or a UAE or even a Thailand or Vietnam, those emerging nations as well? It's certainly going to be interesting. It's an appointment that everyone will be watching with great interest. I think any new coach generally gets the benefit of the doubt, and people will probably give Jurgen Klinsmann that, but it's probably the shortest of short ropes that he's on with everyone. That the first hint that something might be awry, and everyone will be jumping on him. Will be jumping on the KFA as well. It's interesting that they've said that he will be living in Korea, and the fact that they made a point of stating that out in the press release. They know the baggage that he comes of the fact that of his desire to stay in America with previous gigs. I joked to you off air that he'll probably encourage half of the Korean team to move to MLS now, so he can, base himself there permanently to scout them. We know players have gone there in the past, so don't rule out Cho Gu-sung, moving to Minnesota eventually in the mid-season window. Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see how this one plays out. It's certainly not going to be boring, that's for sure.